What made the weird kid in your school weird? Dunno if this goes here, but oh well. I lived in a tiny town and a school that only had like 300 something kids in the school, so we didn't really have a weird kid, but there was a guy in my class that was different. He was really short and loved insects and animals, preferably catching them, and so we had 2 baby turtles as class pets, so my math teacher took us out to see if we could find another turtle. Long story short, we couldn't find one. So we were walking back to class with the weird kid kinda leading in the front. We weren't really in a line, so all of a sudden all of my classmates rush around him. I walked over and he had a baby bird in his hands. Turns out the bird had a nest right above where weird kid found it. Never heard about the bird again. I was the weird kid. I don't know why, but I was always that kid who was picked on or picked last. I was always nice to everyone, tried to make others laugh, and I had enthusiasm. I guess being a nice person is frowned upon. I feel you there. People like to pick on me because I'm quiet and a bit of a nerd and otherwise don't speak to me. However, after our 8th grade dance, I never stopped being pestered. It worsened a few days later when me and my boyfriend got together. Then they started asking inappropriate questions and I immediately missed the silent treatment. I relate to this a lot. It still kinda is like that, since I haven't finished high school yet, but oh well, what can you do? He always said hi to everyone, and wore jackets that were obviously too small for his body. Like it was bad, the jacket would be stretched, and it was so obvious that it was too tight on him. He always smiled, and got way too close to people, like touching them, or just thinking that he could get a girl to like him by touching them, or getting close to them. He was just creepy. He was loud, and whenever he spoke he got way too close and spoke way too loud. It was like he had no social common sense. I always thought he had some mental issues, but the school never brought it up, and it was never confirmed. I know it doesn't sound like much, but I can't really describe how weird he was. He was caught wanking in the bathroom at school. Imo, the weirder kid, was the person who recorded him and then shared it on Snapchat, then proceeded to get arrested for producing CP. The story was weird for me personally, because on the day he was caught, I remember skipping class during period 4 and going to Tim Hortons. At this Tim's they sponsored a local soccer team and had a picture of this team. On that team was this kid. I pointed to him and said, "Hey guys, it's Personaim last name." We had a laugh and went back to school. The next day everyone's talking about how Personaim was caught beating his meat during period 4, the same period I noticed him in that picture. The weird kid we had in our middle school would constantly annoy people, but the reason she was the weird kid at our school was because 1, she would bite people. Note this was in middle school, so she would growl at you like a cat if she got frustrated at all. Honestly, I felt a little bad for her because she was constantly getting bullied by like everyone in the 6th grade, and the one person that would even be nice to her was a new girl, and she got bullied as well for being friends with her. At least she made one friend though out middle school. Lol, my friend bites when she gets really mad and randomly howls like a wolf. No one bothered her, though, because they were terrified of her and our other friend. I am the weird kid. I get in trouble for eating during class, wear cat ears, stutter, wear Naruto headbands, bring a Kakashi plushie, help the kids at my lunch table mix all of their food together by contributing, etc. I literally brought my Kakashi plushie to the 8th grade dance in a doll dress. I also wore my Naruto headband. I think it's safe to say that I'm the weird kid. Also, I literally had Skylanders Supercharger toys in my locker hanging from the hooks that my backpack was supposed to be on, with dinosaurs, Legos, and other assorted toys tied to them. He was some kind of savant. He memorized the phone book, or at least memorized every student's listed address and phone number. You could just walk up to him and give him your name and he would immediately recite your info. I often wonder what he ended up doing in life. Government work. They love those types. Advanced skill sets and unquestionable loyalty to the first entity that values them. That's sad but sounds incredibly accurate. Apparently I did that as a kid. No memory of it at all. If his name was Douglas and was from Victoria or Queensland, you don't have to worry. 1 drank coffee every day before going to school in 2nd grade. He did it all throughout elementary school and would breath in people's faces with gnarly coffee breath. He went on to own a skate shop that turned into a bait and tackle shop with a few decks on the wall. The other was a guy whose parents raised him to act like his sister 4 years younger than him. He was in middle school eating bugs, playing house, and bringing dolls to school. Dude legit acted like a 7-year-old girl in 6th grade. No idea what happened to him, but I really hope he found himself. Kinda sounds like he already did. I have kind of always been the weird kid. Not for any particular reason, I guess I was just too far from the norms for people to handle. I read a lot. I like video games, cartoons and anime. I'm the only girl who plays drums in this district. I get overly enthusiastic, and I come up with crazy ideas. Luckily some people nowadays find that is one of the best things about me. I have never dated anyone, and I haven't been interested in that either. Also I'm pansexual, but I've only told like 3 people, because it would probably make me even weirder. He didn't shower, talk too much about planes and anime. Also way into Japan culture. There was a field trip where we spent about 2 days traveling on a bus. His dad was a chaperone, and because of this, we ended up having to sit through what I'm pretty sure is the entire film run of Godzilla. All while they were spitting out facts about the movies. Just looked him up after 10+ years. He is pretty much the same, but is dating someone that just graduated high school. That's the thing about high school girls. When he spoke it was incomprehensible and aggressive, quite literally the ravings of a madman. If he got something wrong he'd yell saying he was leaving, then do a 180 at the doorway and return to his seat. Had a tendency to drool a lot. Apparently didn't have a front door for 3 weeks, but don't quote me on that. Finally, depending on whether or not you find this weird, no judgment I promise, he watched an absurd amount of My Little Pony whenever he had internet access. I'm the weird kid in my school, and I know exactly why. Whenever you look at me, unless told otherwise, I have my earbuds in. I go through about 5 pairs of earbuds a year. Because of my clumsiness I often drop my phone, messing up the headphone jack. I don't take my earbuds out unless someone's talking to me. I'm basically known as Earbud Girl, along with Contrary Girl after a song I sang in my school's talent show which turned me into the school joke and Simply Loner. It was simple. He was watching a movie and saw a woman who could change into other humans, but he went too far and started scratching kids for no reason. Most kids thought he was just hype, but the only reason I know was because I lived on his street and started spying on him. It was around the end, when he was normal to weird it started, when he started scratching his sister's ankles, and then the next day, he tried to scratch our teacher's forehead. I'm the weird kid. It's because I struggle a lot with being social and due to some coping mechanism my traumas have caused I've done a lot of weird stuff. I usually never start conversations. I say a lot of weird stuff. I don't really like a lot of the stuff my classmates are into, and I don't wanna have friends just to have friends. I prefer being alone to being with people that don't make me the best version of myself. He ate tin cans, shoved whole burgers in his mouth, spit them back out, and ate them again. You could smell him from a mile away. Oh, and also he wore MMA gloves every day, even though he never trained. He would fit in at the Salty Spittoon. Didn't Poseidon do that thing with the Burger in a SpongeBob episode? Wait. Tin cans? Is he a fan of Grover from the Percy Jackson movies? I was the weird kid when I was in the first year of high school. It was probably BC. I was obsessed with the Joker and Jeff the Killer. Used to cut a smile into my face. I only have a small scar now. But it's been a few years and I'm still the weird kid. But now it's BC. I have bad social anxiety and don't talk a lot. I class. I'm not like how I used to be. Said he came from the future. That birds were cameras made by the government and there were elves on the schoolyard, which only he could see. He always carried a notebook with an antenna, and said that, since he spent a lot of time in a certain fence, the principal approached him, and she gave him the paper saying that he was the owner of that fence. I think it was partly his face and his voice. Then, even in elementary school, I remember him just being really creepy and gross. He would make way too immature, but mature for his age comments about other girls at lunchtime and other stuff. I don't exactly remember, because he moved in middle school. He one day brought a bag into school full of Lego bricks and wrote on the bag torture tools also went through the holes one day screaming the sky is falling, and the bedroom monster is here was also famous for interrupting a Christmas play by shouting ooh that's yuck when baby Jesus was born. I went to a Catholic school. This kid used to randomly bite people out of nowhere. Him and his friend got into a fight one day because he wouldn't stop biting people. When he wasn't biting other people he was biting his left index finger. It got so bad that his mom made him wear gloves to school because he wouldn't stop biting his finger. Claimed if he wanted to, that he could give himself a paper cut on his stomach and then pull his skin apart and look inside himself. Also that he could see dead people. Funnily enough at break times his girlfriend would carry around a small mirror and shine it against the side of the school. Weird couple. It was me. I would read erotic romantic books during breaks, or whenever I could. I was never secretive about it. Everyone knew I read them, teachers included. I even got 2 Christian friends from my grade start to read them too. But I was the likable weird girl. I was the weird kid in my school. I have no idea what made me weird, but I went from being the weird kid at school to the weird guy at my job, the weird neighbor, etc. Overall I mostly don't mind, but sometimes I think it would be nice to have some friends. He was some kind of savant. He memorized the phone book, or at least memorized every student's listed address and phone number. You could just walk up to him and give him your name and he would immediately recite your info. I often wonder what he ended up doing in life. I had a couple friends. One male, one female if that matters. They tried to convince everyone that they were werewolves. He printed out what was most certainly a stock photo of a wolf on a cliff howling at the moon and told everyone that it was a photo of him. He literally wanked in the middle of class through his pants whilst he smiled at everyone who was looking at him. The teacher was like 70 and no one wanted to ruin her day by saying this kid was wanking in class I guess. No one told her